is going to be a massive one. But there you go. Champion select, Solari.
Yes, here we go. Let's see what's going to be banned and picked. Really looking forward to seeing Zeri being banned, to be honest. And maybe something from the top lane. Jace, for example, works too bad. I was thinking about like Camille or Gwen, even though we don't see Gwen that much lately because of the changes that have been introduced to her kit. She is still strong on the top lane, and she still is very strong when it comes to the team fight potential. But what do we have? We have Akali. We have Thresh, who actually just joined the bans here. Thresh, Aphelios, an extremely powerful combination on the bot lane, is now being locked away, really blocking away the bot lane with the Jinx, with the Zeri, and with the Aphelios, and locking in the Pantheon himself, the Volibear for the jungle from Munster.
It is going to be, it's Merbs, so obviously you want to take every single AD carry, but curiously enough, they're not going for the Aphelios, they're going for the Volibear. They know Volibear brings a lot for Gabush, so obviously they want to secure themselves. Now, Sybil could take the Gragas to the jungle, could be to the top side as well, so it's a flex pick and to take away the hyper carry. Now, what Merbs brings into the equation in terms of AD carries, because I believe they have to focus now this lane and either bring the AD carry with the support or just bring the AD carry, because you cannot allow yourself to be locked out of more hyper carries.
No. Example open for you right now, that could be an interesting pick for the or Ezreal with something like Karma, which is not banned unlike we had in the previous game. Ezreal Karma could be a very powerful combo on the bot lane, or Ezreal Leona if you want to go for a little bit different dynamic on the bot lane, not having that much poke but having a very strong engage potential if you want to initiate those smaller fights on the bot, especially if you get the help from your jungler, because Volibear is exactly the champion who can be very heavy on the side lanes. And here comes Karma exactly for Ezreal. Still could be a flex pick, as you just actually said in the previous game, but I believe that is a duo for Merbs and Vigo Edit.
It should be a flex, and is it locked in? It is locked in. Yasuo comes in hot for Ericsson. They have knock up, they have Gragas available. If so, you throw in the explosive cask and instantly Yasuo comes in. You don't want to let the Ahri out for Chimera, but this is important. Now, either Vigo comes in with the Karma, or you flex that pick. It could be a pick versus Gragas if Valkyrie is going to play the Gragas at the end of the day because you're feeling comfortable, or either you bring this for Vigo and he can just roam throughout the map. So either you get something that can put Ezreal in pressure mode and try to lock in the Karma on the bot side and not allow Vigo to rotate as much as she would, or I don't know, probably try to get something that can rotate as well and play as a roaming support with a knock-up as well. So maybe you can get an Alistar. A Rel could be good as well. If you bring everybody with the Tempest, the ultimate, Yasuo will be really happy. So Verdant have a lot to play around now. Zillion is going to be the last ban coming in from Verdant. On the other side, it's Spike. I believe they're trying to take away as much as they can from the bot lane.
It definitely looks like you want to take away the strong supports for Aphelios, but I'm just thinking Diana jungle. Diana is not in the bans, and the combination of Diana with Yasuo currently looks to me even stronger probably than the combination of Rel with Yasuo, because you already have a very reliable, very chunky front laner looking at the Gragas. And if you bring in something with a lot of AP damage, which is something that you'll sacrifice by taking that Yasuo to the mid lane, you could have, this a little bit balanced out. But you were the one character that is Rel in the end going in as a support for Aphelios. Still, Diana is sort of open, so it could be both. Like, if one thing fails, you always have plan B available for that Yasuo,
It's an insta plan as well. One of the things that Diana and Yasuo are known for, it's you are not allowed to dodge that engage. It's almost impossible. You have to preemptively flash when you see Diana, but this is such a good pick versus Yasuo, versus a massive team fight. But it's a weird one because you have the poke, you have the engage, you have the front to back with Anivia as well, or even if you want to engage with Anivia, I mean, it's Chimera. He knows how to play Anivia. I would love to see this one. I was a main Teemo back in the day, but nah, that's not going to happen. And we finally get to see where Karma is going to be played. It's going to be played as a support, so Vigo can rotate, and now Urgot is back in the table. How can you fight this one? Especially with that pick. Yeah, that is a good pick versus Urgot.
Yes. I'm just a little bit concerned about right now that we have the combination of Rel and Gragas, and I haven't thought of it, but basically their ultimates will do exactly the opposite of each other, so that could be a little baffling if not approached correctly, but I definitely like that last pick of Aatrox to the top lane. That is going to be a very heavy top lane with possibly a lot of fighting. Really hoping to see that.
Yes.
But also when we later come into the team fights, there is just so many interesting ways to play both of these compositions around. Where to even start?
I would say Verdant has one of the easiest engage and play in team fight. They press R, go in, Yasuo follows it up, Rel with the Magnet Storm, everybody's clutched together, and out of nowhere you send the Moonlight Vigil from Aphelios, and if he has the right weapon, so weapon rotation is going to be really important on this game. If you have that, it's really easy to execute for Verdant. On the other side, Munster Rugby Gaming have a weird composition that can actually succeed in a lot of ways, but it's hard to play it. But we're talking about the first team in the standings right now, so obviously they're the first team for something. I know they've been screaming with a lot of good teams, I would say, and they've been having a lot of good scores as well. I have insider from it. No, I'm kidding. I know they're playing with a lot of teams and they have a good score, so obviously they know how to execute these team comps more easily. But still, it's really hard to pull this comp off, because if Urgot falls behind, Aatrox can demolish him. Anivia could fall flat as well. I don't know what sort of build he's going to do, but if you have an Aatrox, if you have something more tanky as well with the Gragas and all that, why not bring the Leanders? We've seen Anivia's bring out weird items like the crown, the shattered
Crown of the Shattered Queen.
crown of the shattered ice queen. I don't know. They keep bringing more names into items and make something easy. It's a crown. But yeah, if you play that, yeah, you're safe, but you're not bringing any sort of damage. So it's mostly about execution than picks.
Definitely, it's going to be a lot about execution and a lot about positioning in the fights, because with that easy but so powerful combination on the other side of that combo wombo, especially coming with the Yasuo, who is going also to hit very hardly, you really need to think about how you're going to position yourself approaching the team fights and while you're already engaged into them, especially something like Anivia, who doesn't necessarily have any disengage tools when something is running towards her, when something is engaging already into her. What does she do? She hope she has the egg available, probably.
So we are about to jump into this game, and before we go any further, remember yourself, Munster Rugby Gaming can get themselves first seed if they win now. If not, they'll be kicked into second seeds, and it's going to be natives finishing regular split with first place. But there we go, we're back on the Rift, baby. Munster Rugby Gaming with 14-3 in terms of score. They've been lacking a little bit on the past few weeks, but they're a good team. On the other side, Verdant, they want to end this one with a bang. They need this as well. And there we go, jump into the Rift. I don't see anything that pops out aside from the fact that Ezreal is one of those carries that is able to start with a tier if you want to play more safely. So this means to me that Vigo will be roaming most of the time, and Gabush coming in with a Presty attack instead of the Predator. I love that. On the other side, Sybil is going to be a fast Gragas with a Predator on this side.
He's going to gap close immediately. He's going to gap close like crazy, especially into some champions. Like, again, speaking about that poor Anivia. Anivia is kind of in a better situation this game because they have such a reliable utility support on their hands. Again, speaking about that Kama, who will be able to provide the shields and who will be able to sustain the whole team and make sure they survive throughout the team fights if something goes wrong for them in terms of that heavy engagement from the enemy side. So if anybody jumps in, there is still a chance that you get out of that because of the shields and because of actually that additional movement speed that can allow you to get out of a pretty miserable situation. But yeah, definitely Kama is something that wants to be roaming when she's standing on such a lane. Ezreal is not going to have the best of the time, but he is the champion who, if he's not being visited by the jungler often on his lane, he can actually stay on the lane just by taking more of a safer approach to the laning and just, trying not to get hit by anything. And since some things like Thresh and Nautilus were locked out for the enemy bot lane, he knows now that he's not going to be hooked immediately. And with Rel, her engages are a little bit more obvious. So for Ezreal, with his dash, it's easier to stay in a safer position, again, as long as the jungler doesn't visit you.
I would like to bring one, how do I call this, tip of the day. If you want free elo, by the way, people have found out that Akshan can proc the lethal tempo with 2 auto attacks because you have the dirty fighting, the passive. So whenever you attack, you do 2 attacks. So at the end, it's 4 attacks, and you get the insta proc on lethal tempo because the second one counts as 2 attacks for some reason. So there you go. Tip of the day for you guys to get more elo because that champion is annoying. Now into the mid lane, Ericsson so far being pushed in underneath the turret. It's more than normal. So he's obviously going to use the wind wall way too soon, baiting in the idea that a gank is approaching. And meanwhile, this gives enough time for Gabush to go in and try to steal it away. But Sybil took it with a smite in the end. So Volibear just went there to annoy the enemy jungler. They're looking for a dive, but the idea is you don't have enough minions. And do you really want to dive a rail? I don't think so.
No. Even pre-level 6 diving rail could be the situation in which she and her AD carry get much more advantage out of instead of you. No, you don't want to dive rail most of the times, unless you bring in some heavy CC or some big numbers advantage, which I don't really see either of them present. So no tower dive. We just continue standing on the lane. Speaking of safe lane, does not really look that safe from the Munster bot lane anymore. Zombie, where are you going? I'm going to have a respectful look at the Scuttle Cup. Okay.
Just getting the vision and allowing the Gabush who's playing Volleybird. Okay. You can do whatever you want on your side of the jungle. You still have a lot to clear. The red buff finally goes down for Gabush, which is a weird timing for Sybil to actually take care of. He tried to invade in. He tried to get something out of that invade, at least a flash or at least a buff, but it was not enough. But still, if you look into the minions, they're pretty much tied up as Sybil will finally get himself into base to buy for the first time, probably trying to get those boots and get the Predator rolling on. This wind wall will be pretty annoying versus Chimera, but he bought into this line. He was the one picking in Flash Frost, which is the Q from Anivia. It's not as easy to proc on a Yasuo as usual, but obviously he's going to try to make the best out of it. I'm really curious to see what sort of build he's bringing because he has the Leander, so I don't know if he's going for the Ludens. I mean, the enemies are not that tanky, but Leandris with the Glacial Storm is so good. I don't know how can you skip.
I don't know. It's honestly probably the only item that comes to my mind when I think about Anivia and her Mythic. It is just such a strong, such a powerful, and such an annoying combination for the enemy team that you might want to stick to it without... Well, okay, still opening for some possibilities, but it just sounds too good to not take it, you know? But
and they're tanky as well, so the burn will be good.
Exactly. So it's a win-win situation you have here. You go for it, and you're happy, and your team is happy. The enemy team is not happy, so in the end, you're good. Except when there is a good wind wall standing in your way, because you were just saying about how it's annoying to Anivia. I think... Wait. Okay.
He expected the shield to be enough to continue the recall, but it just... Alas, it was not. Valkyrie on the top side is having some sort of issues to get himself in a position to kill, but you don't need to kill this Urgot. You just need to survive, and then when you unleash the World Ender, the World Ender, I think that's the way you call it, the ultimate coming in from Aatrox, as soon as you release yourself, that's when you shine in team fights. What's shining, it is Gabush in the jungle getting the lead versus Sybil, who bought himself Alternator. He didn't even win for the Predator. When he brought that Keystone, he went in for additional damage. Interesting.
Need to see how exactly it's going to pop off a little bit later. But what do we have throughout the map so far, except for that beautiful top lane where Valkyrie is definitely having the time of his life, sitting there with a very safe ward and just doing whatever his soul wants. We have the bot lane, which from Munster looks very good. There is not a big difference in the farm currently between the AD carries, but you can see the bot lane of Munster because of the amount of poke available for them. They are just constantly bullying the enemy bot lane all the way to the enemy turret. And I expected if something like that happens for it to be answered by the jungle, but it's not really happening. Apparently Gragas is still up to some more farming for himself and for more clear, because he is trying to close that gap of the farm between himself and between that Volibear.
At this point, Yasuo knows that Anivia brought in the level 6, so Glacial Storm is available. The push is not going to be as easy as he wanted. He's trying to negate any sort of farm versus a range matchup, which is not the easiest as a melee champion. But if you look into the minions, Ericsson is doing a pretty confident and steady job by securing himself some sort of lead, even though they're 58 to 59 at this point. He still has a big wave ahead of him, and that's why he's popping off. It's almost an entire wave where Yasuo is ahead of Chimera. But now with this blue buff that Gabushi is going to deliver, donating to the mid lane, it's more than enough. Valkyrie getting 3 of his Qs, but it's not enough. Oh, Fear Beyond Death. Stump is trying to get the first blood. Come over here. Missed meet into the top side.
Here it comes, that Urgot we weren't probably even talking about, because that champion deserves a lot of attention. Speaking of Aatrox shining in the team fighting, Urgot is something that just shines in general. He doesn't really care what role he's about to fulfill in the team composition, because he will excel at it. You want to send him to the side lanes all the time, he will go there gladly. You want to send him to take the Herald, look at him, he's being very happy about it as well. Or you want to make him a duelist, or you want to send him in the team fights, he will have enough damage and he will have enough sustainability to do whatever you require from him at any given moment.
You know what's really good versus Urgot? Pantheon. Your E can block away the ultimate. Even if you're low, you can block the damage in. Oh, there he goes. Sybil flashes away, gets locked in the wall on wall. There you go. This is Anivia for you. You got crystallized, baby, and he gets himself 2 kills of a lead for Verdant.
Oh, wait, he flashed over Anivia's wall and then he got stuck between the 2 walls and he couldn't get out of there?
Let's be honest, Gragas is not the slimmiest of champions, so...
Screw that.
Yeah,
that kind of makes sense.
Oh, he tried to body slam, didn't work. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna flash over this. But then, I mean, he got a few cookies extra in the breakfast room, so he's not allowed to leave that place.
Ah. And...
This is
and here it goes down. Oh, that's...
And people complain about minion block. There you go.
Oh, people complain about Anivia. In general.
Yeah,
okay.
it happens.
Yeah. Oh, that must be so annoying as well. Generally, Yasuo is the melee champion who's standing against the ranged lane. He starts feeling a little bit better after he hits level 6 because of that additional confidence this ultimate brings him, because he can just put so much on the table instantly. But with Anivia, it's much harder because her ultimate is much more available for her, for the lack of better words. Somehow I'm lacking the words today, apparently. But still, she is the champion who still can dominate the lane against Yasuo, even after both of them hit level 6 over Yasuo. He is still keeping up really well with going 90 to 90, toe to toe with that Anivia, not losing anything, but she has a kill now in her hands, and Yasuo does not yet.
This is not good for Valkyrie. He stops the W coming in from Urgot. We're still waiting for another level to get the maximum, and then you don't need to shut that W off. It's permanent, it's annoying, and it's going to shred through the life of Valkyrie. He has the Conqueror, but look at the burst by. Instantly, Executioner's calling. He doesn't want that sustain coming in from Aatrox. It is hard to deal with, so that's why he's trying to burn away. Oh, there you go, another engage. Fear Beyond Depth is going to be used, but he's actually getting the knockups. One more! Is it enough? Come in again! Oh my lord! Urgot gets himself another cookie! And Valkyrie is not having the game of his life.
And he's not having any cookies yet, apparently. Doesn't look very good for him, honestly. But that Urgot surviving and securing the kill for himself, loving the fact that he really waited for the ultimate to be used at the very last moment possible. It just made everything look a little bit more epic, you know?
And the way Munster are playing, they're slowly but steadily getting lead across lead in the entire map. Bot side trying to run away with the advantage versus Ezreal versus Aphelios. This is not supposed to happen. Then you look into the mid lane. They're keeping up in terms of minions, but still, Anivia doesn't need to win the lane. She needs to win team fights.
Yes.
Top lane, it's Urgot. And he's getting a 2-0 versus Aatrox. And in the jungle, you haven't seen Predator being popped yet. We're already at 11 minutes. Salari.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so this means like 11 minutes with no Predator usage? This is bad for Sybil.
Absolutely, absolutely. No. In general, like no matter where you look at the map currently at the game, it looks like Munster have everything heavily and steadily in their hands. Oh my god, another Hex Gates, really?
It's because of you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Everybody knows you like this dragon, so they're giving it away. Because on Division 1, we got Cloud Drake for the entire series between Dusty and Bifrost. Oh, that's a hot delivery for the first turret. Will Urgot get close enough?
He will get some gold in his pocket.
A lot of gold.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, a lot of gold. It's the first turret, some turret plates still available for you, and Valkyrie, you really need to step back a little bit. But not too much, because it could be the second yoink, and oh my god, it's going to be, yes, here it comes. Not taking the turret down, but that is more than half the turret already gone, which means that there is such a huge push potential currently, especially for the Urgot, who again will feel very comfortable staying on the side lanes. And I just wanted to super quickly notice that he is running Executioner's Calling for himself, which means that his time on the lane during Aatrox is much sweeter than it could have been just by taking down, no, not by taking down, but rather than with applying the grievous wounds and cutting away the potential heal, means that he wins the trades.
But remind yourselves that Verdant is a team for team fights. This composition is for team fights. I was just hoping to see more of Sybil at the beginning of the game, especially with the Predator coming in. But aside from that, they don't need to win as well. They just need to not lose and get the perfect team fights. It's a good pick comp as well. You get one stun, it's more than enough. But as soon as you see the ultimate coming in from Rel, as we call the Magnet Storm, that's when things might get spicy for Verdant if Crow and Ericsson are playing together.
Yeah, it will really depend on how well the communication between these two players will be, because the follow-up from Yasuo needs to be immediate after Crow engages, but also it needs to be the good time for Crow to start the fight, right? Because if you get Yasuo caught in the heavy control by the moment he decides to ult into you, he doesn't really have much sustainability right now, and he does not have such a support as Karma, which is available for the enemy team, which means that if he is caught, it could be the game for him. The game over for him, rather.
Titanic is already built by Stampy, and that's a lot of wave cleared and a lot of skirmishing power. If he wants to duel versus anyone, I don't think there's anyone that can fight him right now, unless it's Ericsson with the Ignite and maybe a perfect wind wall and juking around it to deny the shotgun knees, as Gabush and Vigo are looking for something. They want to get the flank, but they're not allowed to do it. As Verdant finally get themselves together, they know the timer, they know the Herald is about to pop off as well, is about to appear as well. They want some sort of team fight. They want to force something, but I think most of Rugby Gaming are aware of this, and they're trying to just play from front to back, trying to burn some sort of HP. And meanwhile, bot lane, another turret falls into Urgot.
Yes, but really, you're correct, because for Munster currently it would be much safer to split up as much as possible, because first of all, you don't want to get hit by Rel Yasuo, especially get hit with many people by it, and secondly, you don't really want to have team fights right now. You want to allow yourself some time on the map, especially you want to allow the time for that Urgot, who is pushing really crazily fast, and whoever comes to try to get him down, if he's alone, if it's a duel, he will be ready to face it, but it's not even a duel. Oh.
They try to dive, but finally can push back. Valkyrie comes in. Crow as well with the Magnet Storm. They get one for the price of how many? Crow goes down. It's a 1v1 so far. Impress the attack is giving it so much that the stay is on point. Valkyrie just didn't allow the hit, but Stumpy with that double kill. You mad lad, jump into the mid lane. There's a fight. NLC is getting part. There's a flash comes in from Sybil. That's a flamethrower. Draconian is trying to burn away the life, but look at the arcade shift. Look at the mystic shot. Look at the entire team of Verdant going down. You may go golden, but you still are going gray for almost an ace from Munster Rugby Gaming.
Almost an ace, and the turret on the bot lane completely cleaned with an inhibitor, now naked for Verdant. Following up actually on the point I had just before this all started, it is really much more beneficial for Munster if they force skirmishes, not 5-on-5 full-on team fights, but rather skirmishes with 2 to 3 people, because they will be in the winning situation here. Can we?
There's a lot to talk about that, Solari, and I need your help. Guide me through this.
Oh, I will definitely, because Yasuo jumping in, actually hitting one person even, I think, and then taking some turret shots in himself. But look at the damage, especially coming from Merbs, and look at the positioning of the walls from Anivia coming over and over again. And it's just, it's just sheer damage coming from both of these people is something that Verdant cannot really answer, and they cannot definitely answer. Getting poor Gragas stuck yet again in some small space. Poor Gragas.
Second time Gragas looks into a wall and says, this is not a lovely place. They lied to me. Summoner's Rift was supposed to be a happy place.
Whoever said that?
When I started playing my students, I was a teacher. They told me that it will be a funny place.
Yeah.
10 years later, I would like to find him again.
Yeah.
And attack him.
That's how they lure you, into the summer.
They lured me in.
And boom, you cannot really get out because there's an EVS wall, there is another wall, and you're pretty much stuck at it. Oh, and you're casting games. Wow.
It's a jail. It's a jail. Wall on wall and on wall. That's a jail, Solari. No, I'm kidding. It's a lovely place, and I hope you guys are having fun while playing League of Legends. It's a really good game. Mute. Yes. Just go in game.
Mute all.
Go into the chat and mute all, and you're fine, man. Aside from that, it's a perfect game. Yeah. Looking into the builds, Everfrost coming in from Anivia, so additional stun. I love this when you have something like Aatrox, Yasuo, Gragas, and Rel. There's a lot of engage, and you can stop everybody like this. That's a smash from a Thunder. You may go up, but you will surely go down for a double kill by Merbs.
Oh, that was a rather clean double kill, to be honest, and just a kill per... What was the word I was looking for? I don't know. It was clean. Okay, it was very good. Thank you. Yes, action. Probably that. 3-0 goes that Ezreal already doesn't need Sepulveda to be running around him all the time. He doesn't really need almost anybody. Maybe that Bonsapion to be in front of him and to be the heavy engager. And then Ezreal just jumping behind and dealing tons of damage. But yes, Chimera's build, a very nice one, bringing on the table the additional damage that you need, especially for your ultimate, which is hitting so many people so often. Like that turret, for example, being hit by Ezreal here. That was the last hit you ever saw in your life. Oh my god,
Sybil with the jukes at the end of the ride. You look left and you look, that is my exit. See you soon, guys. Almost getting himself smashed by everyone from Munster Rugby Gaming. The gates are cool, but you're not allowed to use them like that.
Yeah, that looked very desperate, to be honest. Oh my god, Merbs. Getting away.
It has been popped for the first time, I believe. The Arcane Shift was used and Yasuo is way too low to fight this one. Verdant Gaming are being pushed against their turrets. The turrets are falling down as well. And even though the Adel was used on top, I don't think they can follow this one through unless they are willing to sacrifice a T2. Apparently they are. They might get themselves at least one turret, but everybody's starting to reply. There's no teleport. Well, there's a teleport from Stumpy if he wishes to use it. It's, by the way, a bounty, so a little bit of gold will finally drop for themselves. At least 1,000 gold was brought into the team, but can they get anything else? No, I don't think so.
Doesn't look like, to be honest. Look at the gold difference between the teams. I'm just noticing it's around almost 8,000-ish.
Yes.
Math things, I don't know, but it's around 8,000 and we're just 20 minutes in the game. It is an incredibly high difference between the teams, and it's Verdant are currently playing really from behind, and it will be very hard for them to get back on track, especially because, again, following up on something we said before, Munster are really not allowing massive fights to happen because they know that is when they might actually suffer. Not too much now, I think, because they have a lot of sustain right now and even more damage on their hands, so they could actually allow themselves to sustain one, which might happen because here is the beautiful Baron himself with the objective bound on his head as well. Might be a fight around it pretty soon.
Munster Rugby Gaming are in the lead on this game, so they can decide and pull the shots and force Verdant to play where they want. Sybil is not in a good position right now. He's forced to flash away. Body Slam was not even used, and they're forced to use everything to just disengage, and they want a summoner spell for nothing. They get vision as well in the process, and they put themselves in the lead seat to take away this Verdant. This is the start they're going to do it. They have the entire vision around that map. So obviously they cannot pull through unless they want to force a team fight. And if you look into the carries, well, that's an Urgot with 4 kills, 2 kills for the Nivea and 3 kills for the Ezreal. Only the Volibear died once on this situation. And who else died? Yeah, that's the Karma. So none of the carries died yet. So they're in the perfect position to fight this one. Silvo getting low. Is Stumpy just baiting them in. The disdain is used. That's a massive arcane. Oh boy, I don't know if they can fight this one. Valkyrie wants to do it. Ericsson goes for Chimera, but Yanivia still has the egg. Pops in the Zonias and buys enough time. The Glacial Storm is dead. Nobody's killing the Baron. The Baron is still attacking the backline, but Stump is a godlike take forces everyone of Verdant. The teleport comes in. Solari, they want to finish the game.
They want to finish the game. They don't just want to finish the game. Look at them. Look at how much room they are actually finishing the game. Taking out the turret. Here it goes. Taking out the inhibitor. It will go down pretty soon as well. Here it comes. There is another one which has been standing naked for quite some time already, but you don't even pay attention to it because here is the Nexus, and that is what your eyes are set on. And oh my god, the damage.
That Nexus is available. 5,000 HP is all that separates this team from first seed. Crowd goes in. Only a gang comes out. Sybil is exhausted. Ericsson is there to fight, but there's no knock-up to help. Valkyrie puts himself in the lead, and they use the ultimate on Gabush. Is it enough? I don't think so. The Nexus is slowly dying as Draconius is forced to go back, watching Munster Rugby Gaming taking first spot throughout the regular split.
And taking it so graciously. 17-3 is how we finish this hell of a game, to be honest. I was very excited to see how it was going to look when I saw the drafts. And boy, oh boy, was I not disappointed.
It was a hard-to-play team, but if you get the lead throughout the entire alliance, it's more than enough to get yourself and secure yourself first spot during the regular split. It's not a big ooh, but it's something. Obviously, you'll get yourself into the semifinals. You get yourself the beautiful first one throughout the regular split. And on the other side, I mean, Verdant fought with everything they had, and Verdant was one of the teams that I was looking for most throughout the before we jumped into Division 2, the regular split. They ended in a weird position right now, but still, there's a lot of promise for this team. At least in my eyes, I think they have a lot of promise.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, they were put in a very, very hard position in this game because definitely you could see Munster playing directly against their composition and directly against the idea that was behind the whole draft. And it's really hard to play against that as such a team that is, I don't want to say one-trickish, but it's, getting a little bit close to that because you have the main, powerhouse of an idea that you have behind that pick with the Rel, with the Yasuo. And if you're getting denied that constantly in the team fights, it's really hard to quickly find another way to play it.
There was no exit, but there's also a break before we jump into the interview, so I'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere.